Libya 2011. Rebels fight government forces and the international community tries to work out how to intervene. Cue the war game as a planning tool.
High-tech as much of modern defence might be, this system, the Rapid Campaign Assessment Toolset, was in fact developed just last year for the Ministry of Defence by academics from Cranfield University. It involves a low-tech series of counters which are placed on a map of the battlefield to denote the likely consequences of any actions.
The big advantage of the manual system is that you can very quickly change it. So if somebody wants to do something a bit different in the middle of the study, and you want to, perhaps a commander wants to do a different tactic or use some sort of, I don't know, information operation, some decoying or something, which a computer simulation can't handle, you just hadn't thought of it. In this you can. You just simply generate a rule, you generate a bit of a change to the numbers or something, and you can do it on the fly.
Wargaming is not about trying to predict the outcome of a given action, but it's about trying to identify the unknowns that could come into play.
Wargaming is not good for prediction. There's very few ways of predicting how a conflict will develop. What wargaming can do is remind you about factors that you might otherwise have forgotten, because it tends to bring up questions in people's minds, which when they look at the conflict through other means can tend to be forgotten or brushed under the carpet.
Until last week, British planners were using wargaming to work out what to do about another crisis. This technique centres on a structure which weighs up arguments for and against taking a certain action.
The best way to model the way people act is to use people. So what we try and do is work out who the key actors are involved and then get people to role play. It's a technique that's being used as part of a toolkit of techniques, and it's being used more and more because, of course, some of those very high-level war games tend to be what we call in the trade a backseat, a bunch of guys sitting around a table. The idea of using these matrix techniques is to provide a bit more structure in the arguments that are presented with that group of people.
But wargaming isn't just about planning an engagement or indeed a whole war. It's also about looking at how changing tactics at an individual or unit level can affect the bigger picture, and even about encouraging commanders to just think strategically. And for some anyway, it can be a way to while away those winter evenings. Will Inglis, Forces News.